This is procedural content generation of Zelda-inspired dungeon levels by Liam Tingle. The main idea and concept for this project was to produce a system that would procedurally generate dungeon levels in the style of the dungeons from the original Legend of Zelda. Procedural generation can be a great tool for developers to use when creating a game, as it can offer the creation of large amounts of game content in relatively little time, and can offer players countless replayability if used to generate levels for a game. This is because the player will never have the same experience during each playthrough. The overall ideal goal of the project was to have a small game that would generate new dungeon levels after reaching a goal during runtime. Within the dungeons would be certain room types and rooms that were only accessible with keys found within the dungeon. However, some of these concepts didn't make it into the final project. The current flaws in the project is mainly its limitations over the content that is being procedurally generated. As mentioned in the overall goals of the project, the original scope was to not only produce procedurally generated dungeons, but that it would also take into consideration the addition of gameplay elements during this generation. These gameplay elements could be in the form of keys and locked doors that are placed throughout the dungeon, and another concept that was originally aimed for was the inclusion of special room types such as puzzle rooms, boss rooms, and shops. As of right now, however, the project only generates dungeon levels in its most basic form, which produces dungeon levels with maze-like structures. Despite its flaws and missed opportunities, it does however successfully execute its main goal of generating different dungeon levels at runtime. This achievement comes from learning the theory and the successful implementation of procedural maze generation algorithms. The dungeons that are generated will always have accessible areas, and there is never a part of the dungeon that the player won't be able to navigate to. Another feature of the generation of dungeons that went well was the controllability over the sizes of the dungeons, which is accessible to both the developer and the player. That concludes this project. Thank you for watching.